In 2008, Ducati did something the motorcycle world had been dreaming about for years. They took their MotoGP machine and, almost without compromise, brought it to the street. The result? The Desmosedici RR bike that's not just rare, but completely wild. And so uncompromising that even today, it feels less like a production motorcycle and more like a race bike that somehow slipped past the paddock gates with a license plate bolted on. The story really begins in 2003, when Ducati first entered MotoGP with the Desmosedici GP3. Straight away, the red bikes made headlines, pole positions, podiums, and a sound unlike anything else on the grid. Fans begged for a piece of it, and Ducati listened. At World Ducati Week in 2004, the CEO at the time, Federico Manoli, stood on stage and promised something outrageous. A MotoGP replica that ordinary riders, or at least those with extraordinary bank accounts, could actually buy. It was called the Desmosedici RR, short for Racing Replica. 2 years later at Mugello, Ducati unveiled the final production version, and the hype went into overdrive. This wasn't a marketing exercise. Ducati committed to building just 1,500 of them for the entire world. In the United States, each one carried a price tag of $72,500. That was Porsche money in 2008, but exclusivity sells, and every single bike was spoken for in no time. Ducati even gave priority to owners of the 999R Superbike, rewarding the loyalists who had stuck with the brand through thick and thin. At the heart of the Desmosedici RR sat an engine like nothing else in a road bike at the time. A 989cc, 90-degree V4, lifted straight from the Grand Prix program. With Ducati's signature Desmodromic valve system and a twin pulse, or long bang, firing order, it wasn't just about raw power. It was about translating the MotoGP riding experience to the street. The numbers tell part of the story. Around 197 horsepower in road trim, or a full 200 horses when fitted with the race kit. Redline was set sky high, past 14,000 revolutions per minute. On a dyno, owners saw around 170 horsepower at the wheel, still more than most leader-class superbikes of the era. But the real story was how it felt. Brutal, electrifying, and unlike any inline-4 or V-twin. It sounded like MotoGP, it responded like MotoGP, and it demanded the rider treat it like a thoroughbred. The chassis was equally exotic. Ducati didn't settle for a modified superbike frame. They built a steel trellis layout, made it to full carbon fiber bodywork, keeping weight down to just 171 kilograms dry. Suspension came courtesy of Olin, the FG353P pressurized forks at the front and a PRX B-shock at the rear, both fully adjustable and straight out of the racetrack. Braking was handled by Brembo monoblock calipers, biting into 330mm discs, offering Grand Prix stopping power for the street. Even the wheels told a story. Forged magnesium marcassinis, the kind of hardware you'd only see in racing paddocks. Then there were the tires. Ducati and Bridgestone collaborated on special BT01 rubber, including a very unusual 255th R16 rear tire made just for this bike. It wasn't about convenience. It was about replicating the feel of a GP racer, even down to the way the rear tire dug into the tarmac. To this day, owners face the challenge of sourcing those special tires, a reminder of just how unique the RR really was. Every bike was delivered with a race kit, a Termignoni exhaust system, a race ECU, and a sponsor decal set that let owners dress their bike up like a factory GP7 machine. That explains one of the quirks, the seat at the back of the bike, isn't really a seat at all. It houses exhaust plumbing, just like the MotoGP machines it was based on. Owners could fit the full GP-style undertail exhaust, and for a moment, imagine themselves on the grid at Mugello. Living with a Desmosedici RR wasn't like owning a normal Ducati. Maintenance schedules were strict, parts were costly, and the bike demanded care. Ducati even included a 3-year warranty and dedicated service program, because they knew this wasn't a casual purchase. This was for the faithful, the obsessed, the riders who wanted not just a motorcycle, but a piece of Ducati's racing soul. On paper, the specs still impress. A leader-class V4, making close to 200 horsepower, a 171-kilo dry weight, Olin GP-grade suspension, Brembo monoblocks, magnesium wheels, and MotoGP tires. But the numbers don't capture the aura. The Desmosedici RR wasn't about dominating road tests or topping spec sheets. It was about Ducati keeping a promise, to build a MotoGP replica so faithful that for the lucky few who got one, it felt like stepping straight into the paddock. Today, more than 15 years later, the Desmosedici RR is a unicorn. Collectors guard them carefully. Some stay locked away with delivery miles, while others have been thrashed on track as intended. Values fluctuate, but the cult has never faded. Modern Ducatis, like the Panigale V4, and Superleggera owe their existence to the trail the Desmosedici RR blazed. It was proof that a manufacturer could sell MotoGP technology to its fans, and that there were riders willing to pay for the dream. And maybe that's the lasting legacy of the Desmosedici RR. It's not just a motorcycle. It's a promise fulfilled, a MotoGP bike with mirrors and a number plate. The sound of that twin-pulse engine, the carbon weave shimmering in the sun, the plaque on the triple clamp reminding you you're one of only 1,500 in the world. It all makes the RR more than just a machine. It's a piece of history, frozen in time. A living, roaring, Desmodromic legend.